home. And he came out with some interesting statements, basically saying that he anticipates that this Misfit series is going to be as big as UFC and WWE in time to come. So, and he also,
that's a statement and a half, isn't it?
Well, to quote him further, he expects it to go a bit wider than YouTubers as well. He can see. I like Markowski, but he said he can see politicians jumping in the ring with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was near the front, so I had to remain poker face.
So the interesting thing, Carl, I absolutely get. By the way, I absolutely get, and I understand what you're doing down there. Your daughter is a big YouTube fan, just like a lot of kids, isn't she? You know, she likes KSI and all that, and so I get it, mate. I get why you've gone down there. Interesting. KSI did an interview on TalkSport in the middle of the week, and apparently he's signed a 6-show deal with DAZN for this year. So there's going to be 6. There's going to be 6 shows like this one, spread out across the year. That, to me, is already encroaching in mainstream boxing, because that's 6 Saturday nights that could be taken up by bigger shows.
I'm not sure that's the case. I think it's additional dates. If I'm honest with you,
How can it be additional to what should be on a Saturday night?
Well, but they're going live this weekend, and there's no other mainstream fighters going live. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying that they are able to find 6 weeks during the year where there's probably no mainstream.
So, okay, all right.
And commercially, it's very difficult for the likes of DAZN, who I'd probably argue are quite possibly losing money in other areas, let's say, without going into detail.
Yeah.
Because
you're right. It's a no-brainer for DAZN. These guys, KSI, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they have millions and millions and millions of followers. So it stands to reason they're going to get lots of views and lots of buys on DAZN just to watch them. I don't buy into this card.
Let me give you an example. So we're stood there. I'll take you, say you're in the room with me. So I'm stood there today talking to Ebony Bridges and Gareth A. Davis. Olivia taps me on the shoulder and says, I can't remember what was the guy's name, Olivia? No, TikToker. There's so many names. Ollie Ball. So I don't know who this lad is, but then I learned that he's got 2 million followers on TikTok. So you can see what the appeal is, can't you?
Well, of course, mate. Of course, and if this was on a Thursday night, then I'd applaud it. Brilliant, fantastic. You know, have your own little show on a Thursday night, and have all your YouTube and TikTok fans watching it, and bring a load of money into DAZN. That's fantastic. However, it's not on a Thursday night; it's on a Saturday night. That's when mainstream boxing should be on. And I don't buy into, Carl. I don't buy into this concept that it's bringing new eyes to boxing. I don't buy into it. No, there's nothing.
I never said that.
No, I know you haven't, but a lot of people haven't they?
Well, I had that argument. I had that argument only today.
Yeah,
some woman was telling me, and I forget the lady's name, that her son initially started watching YouTube fighters. Then he got into the sport off the back of YouTube fighters, started training. And now, with a case of that, he started subscribing to DAZN and watching mainstream boxing. You know, do I think it brings a lot of new eyeballs? Not at the minute, no.
You might get the odd one like that, but I don't believe you're getting hundreds of thousands doing it. I don't believe it's changing the landscape of boxing. Have you seen any massive increases in in pay-per-view buys for shows?
Not up to now, no.
So
Not
so
up to
for me, for me, it's not.
Good
It's not.
evening, Niall.
All it's doing for me, mate, is it's taking away the opportunity for a mainstream boxing show to be put on. DAZN can argue as much as they want. Well, these are open dates. Yeah, they're open dates because you're taking them up with these YouTube shows rather than allowing Golden Boy Promotions or Matchroom to put on even a next gen card, Carl. Even a next gen card. Even a small all show. In my opinion, would grow boxing more.
I'll tell you what though, I've said it before. Mainstream boxing needs to get its ass in order because this I'm not a fan of it, but this sort of boxing is quickly coming up on the rails. And from a TV production company, DAZN already looked at it. And you could argue like you argue, I don't necessarily agree. It's already starting to say dates off mainstream boxing. Yeah. So they need to give the head a wobble, don't they? And start getting the best part and the best and let's stop these politics. I mean, you've already got Sauerland involved, you've got DAZN involved, so that, these are major players who are identifying.
They can see the monetary value, and they can argue. They can fool themselves and tell themselves and argue this with themselves as much as they want.
I don't think they do though. I don't think they do fool themselves. I think they acknowledge that it's just a different type of boxing. And this isn't me going. I'm not siding on them. I'm not siding on YouTube. I might be down here, but I'm not siding on this side because I'm a boxing purist, I consider. But we need to put our big boy pants on and take the rose-tinted glasses off and realise it's all about the pound note. And if that side of boxing starts earning more of a pound note than mainstream, we're in trouble.
Don't mean you have to like it, though, even if you acknowledge it, does it?
No, but they're not going to care what you think, are they? If the pound notes are rolling in.
I'm not saying they will, but it's still my opinion. And it won't be changed, Carl. Until I see a massive increase in pay-per-view buys or a massive increase in subscribers to DAZN off the back of things like this, then I'm not going to wear it, mate. Sean, you've been kept out of the loop at the minute, mate. What's your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I agree with you both in different ways, I suppose. I mean, like you said about the weekend, I mean, surely, because predominantly the audience are younger people, kids, why don't they, like, I don't know, select a weekend and half terms, for example, where they can do these misfit shows? At least then it makes more sense, and I guess it provides more space for proper boxing. As
just playing devil's advocate, though, Sean. Just playing devil's advocate. Yeah. Why should they?
Well, because I guess say if they had a bigger arena, for example, more people could go, and it would provide a bigger audience, I guess.
I mean, I'm going to say this is I've had a long day, but this is the closest I can come up with some kind of similar scenario. When PDC split darts, now I know they're both professional, but there's two organisations competing. They didn't start asking permission from the other organisation, did they?
That's a call. That's not even a similar scenario.
I'm just saying. I don't think they're pretending to get extra eyeballs on the mainstream boxing. No. I think they see themselves as a complete separate entity. That's what
Yeah, but that's fine. Like I said, if it was on a different night of the week, then
why
great.
shouldn't they go on a Saturday? What do they owe mainstream boxing?
I'm not saying they owe mainstream boxing anything.
Well, why can't they go on a Saturday?
Well, because it's taken away from mainstream boxers.
But they don't owe them. What do they owe mainstream boxing?
I'm not saying no. You're missing my point. I'm not saying they owe anybody anything. I'm not saying they owe anybody anything. But what I'm saying is, it's going to kill boxing.
But they don't owe.
In the long run,
boxing place. Boxing's place sort that out. Not their place. It's boxing's responsibility to get their house in order.
I guess so. This guy's a problem with DAZN. I mean, surely they could have a YouTube card and a Matchroom card on the same night if they had a different option to provide their service. Southern had a TV channel like BT's got BT Sport 1 and 2, for example. So I think with this, that's another problem with the zone. They haven't got enough capacity to clash with these, for example.
The zone, Cole's right. The zone see the pan note, and that's as simple as that. And so do these.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what makes the world go, isn't it?
Carl, I'm conscious we've got a lot of comments in the sidebar, and we're not paying attention to them. Do you want it? Can you scan up from there?
So Niall said it's a shambles, that old YouTube boxing shit. I think it would be good for the sport. Our one was on. It's damaging the sport. I still think that's boxing's issue, mainstream. So Joe said, I guess there's no interest in boxing fans. We just don't subscribe. We search around for a stream. And then Niall says, totally agree. So we've had them.
There's one other comment from Joe as well, right at the top. Hold on a minute. I've just lost it. Sorry, guys. DAZN had no choice to go with YouTube boxing because Hearn hasn't delivered the numbers. When he left Sky, the pudding thought Sky subscribers were his fans. I think he's got a good point there. He thought everybody that were paying a subscription for Sky Sports were all going to go straight over to DAZN, and it didn't work out like that, did it? Because a lot of Sky subscribers.
But don't forget, the DAZN isn't just purely a boxing platform. They have also
that's what
football in America. So
that's what I was just about to say, mate. You bang on. People that subscribe to Sky Sports.
But there's open for DAZN to launch that platform in the UK, wasn't there?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is people that Eddie Hearn's not understood the dynamic of Sky Sports, I don't think. People that pay the astronomical amount of money each month for Sky Sports do it for Premier League. They don't do it for boxing. The majority of them. They're the casuals, right? So they'll watch the match and then if boxing's on afterwards, they'll stay on and watch that. It's your diehard fans that have gone and bought the DAZN.
It was quite interesting. It was quite interesting being there today. Like I said, I'm not advocating. I'm not flying the flag for him. Yeah. But it was quite interesting to see how they operate. And also, how many boxing, let's call them mainstream boxing, how many mainstream boxing individuals are getting involved? And you're in danger of giving it more credibility. You had Mark Tibbs there, Ebony Bridges there, then you've got all your big boys reporting on it.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure this can all be labelled at the misfit YouTube boxers. They almost created this content. And now they're getting legitimate boxing journalists and trainers and promoters. They're all coming to the party.
Like I say, Carl, if this was on a completely separate night, if they made a stand and KSI came out and says, right, we're gonna create this show. We're not pretending to be professional boxers, but we're going to create this show, and it's going to be on every Friday, or we're going to do it when we put them out. We're going to put them out on a Friday. I won't have a problem with it. One little bit, because they've got their own little patch. Then it's the fact that they're stamping all over mainstream boxing, because it does have a ripple effect, Cole. It will affect.
I just don't think that's the YouTube boxers' position. Why
would they care? If it's that's down to DAZN to turn around and say, well, actually, no, we want to keep Saturday night for professional boxing.
But when they get them DAZN buys through, there's only one thing they're thinking with, isn't it? And that's a bank balance.
Good evening, Lee. How are you, mate?
Evening, mate. Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah. Me and Carl were talking about this earlier, actually. I'm not a big fan of it. Well, I'll say I'm not a fan of it at all. But I understand its place. I'm with you, Andy, on what you're saying about Saturday nights and it taken away from boxing. But at the same time, if that's where the money is, I mean, there was people talking about the last show that they did. I think it was because KSI fought first and last, and the arena was full from the first fight to the last fight, which we don't get in boxing. So I get it. I'm not convinced by the narrative that it's going to bring more fans necessarily over to boxing as such, but at the moment, they're doing their thing, aren't they? And it's hard to knock it when they're making money.
It's like a wrecking ball, mate. Or no, that's not the right term. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts off tiny and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what's going to stop it?
I do still point the finger at mainstream boxing getting its ass in order, though. The best fighting the best. Cut the politics out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's down to promoters, mate. That's down to promoters and fighters that don't want it. This wouldn't be if fighters had the same attitude as fighters in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s that wanted to be the best, that wanted to prove that they were the best. There's still some out there that are like that, but very few and far between now.
So does that in a sense make this a good thing, because maybe it will spur promoters and like they can't hang around anymore, they can't mess about because something else is going to come in and take over if they do.
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
I know what you're saying, but
the problem you've got though is Cole's just said you've got big promoters there. The Sauerlands are there. You've got big trainers that are there. So they're not deterring away from it. They're not thinking to themselves, right, we need to knuckle down. We'll roll our sleeves up and we'll make our shows better. We'll put better cards on. We'll put better headlining fights on. We'll have the best fighting the best. We'll make unifications and undisputed fights. They're not thinking like that. They're thinking.
I mean, some of it today, I'm not going to lie to you, and my daughter's behind me, but I'm going to say it. Some of it today, as a boxing fan, I was shaking my head up, because some of it was a bit like pantomime, but I come back again, wherever you've got your big motors, your big trainers, Ebony Bridges there as well, just to name but a few. Malik Scott was there because he's training another fighter as well. I don't know what to say. I'm not advocating it, but all I'm saying is you can see it coming up on the rails, can't you, in terms of commercial viability, and boxing to take a long, hard look at itself, and I mean mainstream boxing, and start getting the best fighting the best, or it's in trouble.
Is this a case, or am I going completely over the top here? Is this the case of DAZN selling out?
They've not been in the game long to accuse them of that, I don't think. It's hard to say. Hard to say they're selling out when they're not a boxing channel, are they? They do various other sports. They do Premier League all around the world. It's just in the UK that they're focused on boxing. So I don't think they've sold out. I think they're trying to.
Aren't there? They're out that survive off views and pay-per-view buys. Let's just tell it how it is. So I believe they see it as both these two versions of boxing, or whatever you want to call them, can run parallel. That's how I see it. I think they think they're opening the app up to different genres, different generations, and different markets. In my view, Joe Markowski is quite clear in that.
He's going to say that. What else is he going to say?
Well, he's come over from New York for it, so, it must be quite a big deal.
Of course he's come over from New York for it. He's getting a big pound note for it, isn't he? He's not come over for nothing, has he? Anyway.
But the thing is, though, you don't see him at all the DAZN UK shows, do you? That's my point.
They're not making him as much money, are they?
Well, that's what it all boils down to. That's my point.
So, do you want to pick those two comments up from Joe, Cole?
Fucking, you're making me work tonight, man. I thought I was on a bit of a lot tonight. So, Joe says these YouTubers have made a ton now. Boxing professionals will want to eat off their plates. He goes on to say Eddie in his bomb work with other promoters. He started a culture of getting in front of a camera and slagging rival fighters, managers, TV execs, promoters. And this is the result. Leigh Wood's biggest fan, Narlo Connor, says, I would say if Matchroom was putting on the shows with packed cards that they were doing regularly 2 to 3 years ago.
Okay, I think shall we move on?
Yep.
Okay, so the world's worst kept secret, Leigh Wood versus Maurizio Lara, was announced this week, and also the undercard was announced. So, what a fight!
What
It's,
ball?
like we say, worst kept secret, but the fact that it's over the line and definitely happening now. And just before we do go into the undercard, by all accounts, 5,000 tickets were sold in 2 hours today, which is very good going, in it.
Not bad for someone who can't ship tickets.
Yeah. According to a lot of people on social media, but it's a massive fight in any standards. There's a lot of niggle between these two as well. I can only see this being a war. But before we get into that, let's talk about the undercard. We'll run through the card and then we'll get your opinions on whether you think it's good enough card to be on a main show. Is it better or worse than any of those we've seen recently? So, local lad from Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, Nico Levers, is fighting Alberto Motos from Spain. That's a super bantamweight fight. Nico's 3-0-1, and Alberto is 2-0. Nico's getting himself on these undercard fights, isn't he, Carl?
Yeah, I was just laughing at Joe's comment.
Doing all right so far. What was Joe's comment?
So Joe says, rumour has it Carl's been seen in Tesco's pricing up strawberry churits. Well, funny you to say that, Joe, because where I'm in Wembley at the Travel Lodge, there's a Tesco Express straight opposite. So it could well be the case, but I don't think so.
What did we have? 8, 9, and 10 as well, was it, Carl?
You can have whatever you want because, you know, whatever you're predicting, Lara, you're going to lose. So bring on even more bets.
Can we hold the Lara negotiations and betting topics till we actually get to that main headlining fight, please? So next up on the card, Kieran Conway, coming off a loss against Amo Williams, trying to find his way back. I think he's in a fight against George Silva, who's currently sat at 22-7-0 with three knockout losses on his record. Kieran Conway was flying, wasn't he? He was in a great situation and took on a big fight in Amo Williams. There's no disrespecting losing out there. Do you think he's as good as people first thought he was, Carl?
Yeah, let's say right. He's had a few away days, hasn't he, where he's been in the away corner.
Yep.
Where he wasn't expected to get the nod. I quite like Conway. I think Earn ought to get behind him and give him a bit of a push, get him some hometown fights, and get him challenging again because he's all action. I like Conway. He's all action. It's never a boring fight with Conway. So I just think Earn needs to give him a push. I think Earn tends to use a bit of a. We know we're going to get action from him, so let's get him in the away corner over in the state and give him a good payday. When I think Conway's got more ambition than that.
It was only a couple of years ago he beat Metcalf, so let's not.
And look what Metcalf's done.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not get too down on him. Sean, what's your opinion of Conway?
Yeah, right. I rate him. He's proven time and time again he isn't scared to jump in with anyone. So as you guys have already said, let's hope he gets a good run behind him, and let's see how far he can progress.
Same question to you, Lee.
Yeah, I think again echoing what you guys have said, but it's sort of spotlights on him, isn't it? So he's got to prove himself, hasn't he? So another test for him, and yeah, hopefully he comes through.
Great stuff, great stuff. So moving on, Gamal Yafai is in a super bantamweight fight against Diego Alberto Ruiz. Yafai for me isn't active enough. In 2019, where that come from? He had one fight. 2020, he had one fight. 2021, he had one fight. And I guess what? In 2022, he had one fight. It's not active enough, is it?
Not a stacked division, though, is it?
No,
That's
no. But even so, Cole, that's not keeping fresh, is it? You know, it could be moving on and doing really big things.
It's got to be Sonny Edwards. It's got to be Sonny Edwards for him eventually, hasn't it? You know, eventually that's a fight to make.
Lee, what was you just about to say? Sorry, mate.
Which Yafai's fighting on the card?
Gamal. 90. He's currently sat at 19-2. His two losses come to Jason Cunningham in 2021 and Gavin McDonald in 2018.
Wow. Been around a while then, hasn't it?
Yeah. And his opponent's been in with Michael Conlon, the mighty Michael Conlon.
That was an easy fight then, wasn't it?
We'll be happy to hear. So Michael Conlon stopped him in, I think, round 9 of a 12-rounder.
Took him 9 rounds.
And Shabazz Masood in 2021 on a unanimous decision. So this is no pushover for Yafai. And they're not going to be at this stage anymore. He's Argentinian, by the way, his opponent. And they're tough from that part of the world. So I expected quite a tight fight here.
He didn't fight in 2022. This is his first fight in nearly 2 years, just looking at.
Who?
Yafai.
Maybe Box. Maybe
his last losses to Jason Cunningham.
Maybe BoxRec got it, or I've missed it then. Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe he didn't fight in 2022. Perhaps I've got that one wrong, mate.
But that just proves he's even more inactive, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
How old is he, Lee? I'll ask you because Andy might give me the wrong age.
I don't know, mate. I didn't write that down.
He's 31.
So, you know, at that sort of age, you need to be more active, don't you?
Because his Galav's only a year younger than him, isn't he?
Yeah,
I don't know how old Cow is.
He needs to be more active. He needs to be more active. He's got to fight 2 or 3 times this year if he's going to get any chance of getting anywhere near belts.
He's the worst of the 3, isn't he? To be fair, with respect, out of the 3 of them, he's the least convincing.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I expect him to come through this fight, but it won't be an easy fight. Sean, anything to add on this one before we move on?
No.
Okay. This is a fight I'm really looking forward to. Chef Clark against Dex Spellman. This has come at the end of Dex Spellman's career, and it wasn't long ago that myself and Carl interviewed Dex at a show end of last year that was meant to be Dex's last fight. And obviously he had an inkling that something might be on the horizon for him, because he told us that wasn't going to be his last fight, but he didn't tell us anything more than that. And this is a massive opportunity, because this is a final eliminator for the British cruiserweight belt. Chef Clark's obviously only 4-0, massive amateur experience. Dex Spellman's got lots and lots and lots of pro experience with lots of rounds under his belt. He's, in my opinion, probably going to drag Chev a long way in this fight. It's going to be interesting to see how that's handled. First, I'll come to you, Cole. What did you think when you first heard about this fight being made?
what I thought was is the toughest fight that Jeff Clark would have been in since he turned pro, and I think he's going to get dragged into deep water. Dex Bowman's only been beat by the Yard and the lights, but been beat by a very good fight is what I'm trying to say. Clark's still got a bit to prove to me. I know he's got the Olympic pedigree, etc., etc. But I watched him in Nottingham, and there's still flaws in his game. I guess it's going to be, but everyone always automatically assumes these Olympians are going to turn over pro, and then the polished article. Well, it's just not the case sometimes, is it? So he's going to get a test there against Dex Bowman. He's going to ask him some questions that he's not been asked before in the pro ring. So one thing Dex is tough, come forward fighter who's going to put it on him.
Yeah, Dex. When I was talking about experience, Dex been in with Shakan Pitters twice, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard, to name a few.
Just because you've been in with them,
done really well in those fights, though. Done really well in those fights. Yeah, I saw a bit of a twinkle. I saw a bit of a twinkle in Dex's eyes when we were talking to him. He's well up for this. I think he sees that Shev's quite young in the professional game, and it might be an opportunity for a big upset.
Well, it's his final goal on the merry-go-round, isn't it, for Dex Bowman?
Yeah.
So he's going to put it up, and throw his chips in, isn't it?
Sean, how do you see? Do you think Dex got a chance firstly in this fight? And if not, how do you see the fight going?
No, I don't. I think Clark will win by stoppage, and I think people forget I think he's 32 now, Clark. So he's got to get his shift on a bit. I know it's cruiserweight, but still, he hasn't really got time to waste and hang around. So I suspect he'll come through this with his stoppage and then progress.
So just before I come to you, Lee, comment in the sidebar from Joe. Lad puts it on the line. He takes every fight. Hope he can nick a decision against Clark. Couldn't put it any better myself. He never, ever, ever turns down a fight, Dex Bowman. He's had a very good career. Was English light heavyweight champion. Yeah, he's done really well. So Lee, let's say your opinion on this one, pal.
I think you have to look at it at this point, and I don't mean this with disrespect, but he's almost like a gatekeeper at this point in his career. I think he's been put in this fight because they fully expect Chevon to win, which I fully expect him to win. I think just because you've been in these fights and you've been a journeyman doesn't necessarily mean you could say the same about Derek Chisora. Wow, look who he's been in with. What's that got to do with it? Absolutely nothing. So that's just my opinion. I think it's a straightforward knockout for Chev. And by the way, apologies, you were right on your fight. I've just checked it out.
Oh, what about 2020?
He did fight in 2022, yeah. It wasn't on the records I was looking at, but he did.
Okay.
But yeah.
I accept your apology. Thanks, mate. Moving swiftly on. Gary Cully, who's doing wonderful things, making some big waves, is in against American Wilfredo Flores. I can't get my teeth in tonight, lads. Wilfredo's 10-0 with 5 KOs. This is obviously for the WBA International vacant lightweight title. Gary Cully's looking to move very, very quickly into. He said it in a few interviews. He's not looked at a place when he stepped up. I'll come to you firstly. Firstly, I'm assuming you think Cully comes through this fight. Where do you think he goes after this?
I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I'm not too sure. I'm not as clued up on this fight, if I'm being honest. So I might have to pass this one back over to someone that is.
Sean?
Yeah, I really rate Gary Curry, and I think he's carrying the flag for Irish boxing in a sense, because there's not many people like him, and I think the perfect fight will be Maxie Hughes really if he comes through, because Eddie Hearn keeps mentioning he wants a big fight for him. why not put them in there together and see who the best is?
Carl, you've been banging the drum for Cully for a while now.
Yeah, I like Cullen. 15-0 into, you know, I love a southpaw. He's obviously come over to Matchroom, having felt he stagnated before. Eddie Hearn's making some big noises about him, talking about him going on some big shows in Ireland, the Katie's undercard, etc. Not sure where his profile is at the minute. Has he got a big profile maybe in Ireland, but I'm not sure what it's like over here. But it's exciting to watch, isn't it? So, you know, we like that. So I can see him getting on some undercards of some big fights. But Eddie Hearn's talking about a world title shot within the next 2 fights.
Yeah, that's pushing, in my opinion, that's pushing him too quickly. What I don't want to see is, because there's real talent there, no doubt about it. I don't want to see him push too quickly and him get beat by somebody that in a year and a half, 2 years' time, he'd take out, but he's not quite got the experience and ring savvy.
But also, let's not go down a certain fighter's route where he's fighting nobody for 20-odd fights.
No, yeah, well, I don't think he's doing that, Carl. I think he is moving up the levels, and I think he's been done right. I just don't want to see him in a world title fight too soon before he's not quite ready. Obviously, comments in the sidebar. Niall O'Connor, Cully's special, and he agrees with you, Sean. Okay, swiftly moving on to the co-main, Dalton Smith against Billy Allington for the British super lightweight title. Obviously, Dalton Smith, as we know, is unbeaten. 13 fights, 10 knockouts. Billy Allington is a former English light superweight champion. Currently sat at 10-1-4. I don't know about you, Carl. I don't know very much about Billy Allington.
No.
But you don't for 1 second disregard him in this fight. I think Dalton Smith is real quality, but Billy
I think this is a thank you fight for signing the contract with DAZN.
Yeah, maybe, mate. But I don't disregard Billy Allington, because you don't win English titles. They're not handed out for free. You don't get them in a lucky bag. They're tough fights at that level. And there's not a massive leap from that to British level. Dalton Smith, in my opinion, is well above British level. He should come through the fight, but it won't be a walkover, in my opinion. Leigh, what do you think on this one? Firstly, what's your opinion on Dalton Smith?
Well, I think obviously it's probably a bit of a kick in the nuts for Boxer. I think that probably ruined Ben Shalom's Christmas. Yeah, he looks a special talent, doesn't he? That's why they were arguing over his signature. I was actually surprised he signed with Matchroom in the end. I thought it was nailed on that he was going to head over to Boxer. But yeah, I think this is just a run on the ladder fight for him. I think he'll come through it, and he's destined for bigger and better things, isn't he?
He is. Yeah,
I think he is. He's future world title contender, isn't he? At some point in his career, I would say.
Cole?
Yeah, I think Grant Smith's doing a great job at the minute with his fighters, isn't it? So, yeah, I like Dalton Smith. They're in danger of it. I'm normally one to throw him in, but I think they're in danger of getting him to world level a bit too quick. I think you need more learning fights, if I'm honest. But no, he can fight. He's got a big following in Sheffield and Ted. So, yeah, I think he walked through this guy. I think it's a gimme fight, if I'm honest. And then he'll be moving up through the levels. Great division.
Sean?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with him. I can't see how you can't be. But I guess for him, it's a question of how you progress him. I mean, wouldn't O'Hara Davis be too soon for him next, do you think, if he comes through this fight?
No, it takes O'Hara Davis at this point in his career.
Yeah.
I think O'Hara Davis has flattered to deceive for his whole career, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I guess a win like that for him would sort of really put him on a pedestal because I guess people know who O'Hara Davis is, and
He's
I
definitely a
guess
name.
in a, yeah, and I guess in a way that could be his breakout fight in the mainstream, I guess.
Do you not think that's a? I think that's quite a good fight, to be honest with you.
Do you?
O'Hara Davis only lost. He's only lost a couple of times, isn't he? And I think you kind of see, and you've seen it with. I know you're going to talk about him at some point, but Echo Esserman, he's on the card next week, isn't he? And he's taking a fight against Chris Congo, and that I think when you see that someone on the way up against someone on the way down, they meet at that point at British level. Everyone gets talking about a fight like that, and I think there'd be a bit of talk around him fighting O'Hara Davies.
I think you're right, Lee, but I think you're only right in the sense that it's only because O'Hara's got a name. There's nothing in O'Hara's record that tells me he's improved anything in the last 5 or 6 years. Carl?
I like that fight. I like it. I think O'Hara Davis has got a bit of a point to prove, especially with Matchroom, because he often goes in on Eddie Hearn, don't he? So I think you definitely, I don't know how good O'Hara Davis is, to be honest with you, but you definitely see the best version of him in that fight. Let's be honest about O'Hara Davis, just waiting for that next big fight. Does he deserve it? I don't know. But yeah, I like that. I like that fight. You could do a lot worse than put them two together. I think the styles gel.
It'd be his hardest fight to date, let's be honest.
Yeah,
I think you're right. It will be. It will be. O'Hara is a very tricky kind of character to figure out in the ring as well. He's got a strange style, Ante. Yeah, you're probably right. It is. Well, it definitely is his toughest fight, but I still think Dalton Smith's levels above O'Hara Davis.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, swiftly moving on to. Well, again, I'll say it, and I don't care if anyone thinks I'm biased. Leigh Wood has balls the size of watermelons. Nobody, I mean nobody in this division wants to go anywhere near Maurizio Lara. And let's remember, this isn't a mandatory. This is a chosen fight by Leigh Wood.
I think that might be a bit unfair. I think Warrington would have in with him if he had the opportunity again.
Well, he did, didn't he?
But you know what I mean, though. If he had another opportunity to jump in with him.
Well, none of the champions are calling him out, are they, Cole?
No, but I'm just saying Warrington.
Maybe Warrington. You might be right. Maybe Warrington, but no. What I'm saying to you is, this is a guy that everyone is calling the boogeyman of the division. He's not had a world title shot off anybody else. You know, there's 3 other champions. Why is no one else giving him a shot? No one wants to go near him, do they? The point I'm making is Leigh could have, when he got that shoulder injury, he could have very easily decided to go another route and maybe make a unification. Or maybe take the Warrington fight straight away. Or maybe
he told Eddie Hearn
things.
Eddie Hearn has gone on record saying once Leigh Wood done his bicep, his next conversation was get the rematch with Lara. I don't want anyone else.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. He wants to prove. He said that he wanted Warrington, and when that couldn't get made straight away, he wanted the only person to have done the damage that they've done to Warrington at that time, and that's obviously Lara. So, Lee, you're pretty neutral on this. I'll come to you first.
Yeah.
Firstly, how do you see the fight playing out?
I think it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be any waiting around for the action. Put it that way. I think it'll be all guns blazing from the first round. And one of them's going to knock the other one out. I happen to think Lara will stop him. I hope he doesn't. And I think Leigh Wood has got a hell of a chance. But I just think in the last couple of years, Lara's just looked something special. And I just think he's going to be a bit too much for him. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. And you're completely right in what you're saying about it's madness that he's taking this as a voluntary. I mean, you've got to put respect on his name for that, which I think a lot of people have this week. So it makes sense, but he could have easily avoided it, couldn't he? And he hasn't. So fair play to him, and I just hope it's a good fight, which it will for as long as it lasts.
We had a conversation with Leigh Wood the first time we interviewed him on this show. He just won the British title, and we were saying, what I asked him the question, do you plan to take three defenses and have the belt outright? And he was very straight, and he was, no, I want the best. I want to fight the best. I want Navarrete next, was pretty much what he said. And look at where he's gone to. I'll never ever count Leigh Wood out, mate.
No.
When you've got a will and a determination to do what he did against Michael Conlan, I'll never count him out in any fight. And he's very, very confident. I've seen a couple of quotes from him. He's very, very confident about what he thinks he can do and the chinks he's seen in Lara's arsenal that he thinks he can exploit. Ben Davison's very well known for meticulously looking at fighters and picking apart styles and what his fighters can do to exploit, and I think this will be another one of them, if I'm being completely honest. Carl, Lara's come out with a lot of trash talk, and leading into this. He's done things like called Leigh a chicken. He's called the injury fake. He said just recently he said he's promised his daughter a world title, and Leigh's made a massive mistake picking this fight. How do you see the fight going? Do you think is there's any chance of it going the distance? And if Leigh finishes it when?
So I know I've got a few bets riding on this with Joe and with Leigh. So I'll echo what I said before. I think they'll stop him early to mid rounds. No way is this going the distance. I just think Leigh Wood. I don't think Lara's as good as you lot people are making out. His best win was against a Warrington who's on the slide. So I think Leigh Wood's gonna knock him out, and I think it'll. If you're gonna push me for a round 3, early night's work. Then I'll collect me what's its and whatever I'm getting off Leigh, and go and have a good time.
Leigh, you're shaking your head at that comment that Warrington's his best win.
Yeah, no, I'm disagreeing that Warrington was on the slide, but I think we had that debate last week, didn't we? About
we did.
I disagree with the fact that Warrington was on the slide and Lara beat him.
Sean, again, quite neutral. You're not a Nottingham lad like me and Carl, so you're not going to get accused of bias on this one. How do you see it going, mate?
Yeah, well, I think ultimately it's going to come down to who wants it more on. And I know it's an obvious thing to say, but I think with them both carrying power and have the ability to turn each other's lights out at any given moment, I just think I think they're both going to have to potentially get up off the floor. And I think it's just going to come down to who's got that characteristic that can see him through those times to win the fight. I think Leigh Wood is going to pip it, but there's not a great deal of confidence behind that, I have to say.
Do you think it ends in a knockout then, one way or the other?
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what Joe thinks on this. How do you think it ends, Joe? Seeing as though you got a bit of a bet riding on this with Carl. And Niall, what's your opinion on this one? You've got a bit quiet, kid. What's happening? So for me, what I've seen of Lara is he's very, very dangerous. Let's not beat about the bush here. He's very, very dangerous. Carries extreme power. but I've only seen him fight and act in one style and one way. So if there is bones to be picked out of that, Leigh will find them. Because I think Leigh can adapt to change his style to suit the fighter he's fighting. And what I mean by that is he went up against Kanzu, who throws 1,500 punches a fight. And he took his time in that fight and picked Kanzu apart before he finished him. Instead of going at him and trying to match his style. So, and then the Conlon fight, his game plan obviously changed because he got knocked down in that first round heavily. But he stuck to what I think his game plan was going to be, which was go to the body, slow Conlon down, and break him up. And that's exactly what he did by the end of the fight. So there will be a game plan, and I think Leigh will execute it. I don't see it going the distance either, guys. I don't think Leigh's saying, and he said it in an interview today, he's gonna go to the middle of the ring and stand toe to toe. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll box a little bit smarter to begin with. He'll look for the openings, and then he'll detonate. And I think this is over before round 6. So my screen didn't refresh, Cole. There's now loads of comments that I didn't see any of.
So Joe said it's got fight of the year stamped all over it. The fact Conlon caused Wood so many problems. That's why I've gone with Lara, and I think it will be a body shot that ends the fight. Joe talks about Adam Aziz, sent Dalton Smith back to Matchroom with his tail between his legs. Smith didn't fancy the fight in his opinion. Niall says, I think Wood will... Well, here's a surprise. Niall says, I think Wood will be stopped. Sorry, lads. Don't be sorry, Niall. You know, you got a great record of your predictions with Wood, so, you know, long may it continue.
Okay. So I think on that note, we'll do this again. We'll do this fight card again closer to the date. But obviously picked it up today for the obvious reason that it was announced. So moving on, lads. I just want to talk a little bit about AJ, because there's been a lot of rumours circulating this week that he's going to. Firstly, the fight's going to be on the 1st of August. 1st of April. And the name that's being bandied about is Dempsey McKean from Australia. Now, is the number 4 in Australia. It's not even the best Australian heavyweight. He's number 4 in Australia. And he's sat at number 52 in the world, which is one behind Dave Allen in the rankings currently. Sean, you're laughing a little bit there. First and foremost, if that is the opponent that AJ comes in against, are you happy with that as a first fight back, or are you a bit underwhelmed?
Yeah, I don't think it will be the fight, actually. Eddie Hearn done an interview yesterday on IFL. And from what he was saying, it's certainly going to be a top 15-20 opponent who he comes back with. I personally think it would be someone like Otto Wallin, someone like that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
That'd make sense, wouldn't it? That'd make sense to an Otto Wallin. He's not really going to do any damage. He's not a dangerous fighter. He's not a big puncher. Leigh, are you thinking down the same lines?
Yeah, I obviously earlier in the week looked like it could be, but it doesn't look like it's going to be now. I'm expecting either Wallin, Hellenius, or Zhen, or
the Chinese fighter.
Yeah, I'm expecting one of those 3.
Yeah, my initial thought was it'd be Zhang, because he's there to be it. It's a very easy night's work for Anthony Joshua, and it makes him look good. Same with Alanius. It's not difficult. He's not difficult to hit. Yeah. I would be very, very disappointed if it was Dempsey McKean. Very disappointed because AJ, even AJ and an under par AJ, an AJ that's only just got a new trainer, even then he beats that guy with his eyes closed. It needs to be somebody that's going to give him a bit of a risk because he's got to be on his toes and sharp. There's no point going in thinking, "Oh, this is an easy night's work," because that's when he'll come unstuck. What's your thoughts on his new trainer, Lee?
Very, very good choice. He's got a proven track record. He's got a track record of sort of bringing the youngsters through as well, hasn't he? And taking them right up to the top. I like that he's going out to Texas. I think gets him away from. I think with AJ, there's a bit of a circus around him whenever he's got a fight on. He's going to get away from all of that. I also think the fact that Fury and Usyk are tied up with each other, and it's going to be the first fight he's going to be going into where there's no speculation of the Fury fight, because we all know AJ's fight after that anyway. So there's no speculation. He can just focus on the task in hand. I think the mistake AJ made and has been making in recent fights is he's almost been trying to learn on the job. And I think he's got too involved in the art of boxing, the science of boxing, and he wants to be remembered as a boxer rather than just a puncher.
Yeah.
Now, he needs to stick to what he's good at, and he needs a trainer that's going to tell him that, and this trainer will.
Completely agree, mate. Spot on. I'd like to see a coach that gives him a bit of a defensive base.
Yeah.
Although I want to see Joshua be aggressive. I want to see the Joshua of before Klitschko. That when he's got somebody, he finishes them, and there's no way anyone's coming back from it. We haven't seen that Joshua since Klitschko because he's scared to pull the trigger. But that being said, he still needs, in my opinion, to understand how to defend. He doesn't ride a shot, Joshua, at all. And when he's in trouble, he doesn't know how to cover properly. And he gets overwhelmed. I don't think he stays very cool under pressure, if I'm being honest. And I think the Ruiz fight showed that. The first Ruiz fight showed that. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see a coach that, even though they're going to make him an aggressive fighter again, they also give him that base defense that if you do take a shot, here's what you got to do. Because I don't think he's ever had that. I don't think McCracken's never been a defensive coach. The fact that his other pro fighter was Carl Froch, who had an iron chin and took a lot of shots, by the way, in his career, but he could take them because he had an iron chin.
The American mentality is to fight on the back foot anyway, isn't it? Fighters get criticised for it over here.
Yeah.
But over in America, I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather. He spent most of his career fighting on the back foot and just waiting for his opportunity. But that's what he needs to do. So the fact he's going out to America with James is I think it's a good choice.
So just to comment in the sidebar from Joe, I'm no Joshua fan, but I do feel sorry for the lad. He looked lost back in Saudi, and the team is shocking. He should have never have left McCracken, in my opinion. Do you agree with that, Lee?
No, I think he made the right choice leaving McCracken. He just made the wrong choice with not changing. I mean, he had Garcia in his camp already, didn't he? So he didn't really change anything. He just almost lost someone in his corner rather than gaining someone. Does that make sense? So I think he went out to America looking, didn't he? And then he just sort of went stuck with what he knew. With McCracken as well, there was always the trouble that obviously he's heavily involved with Team GB, isn't he? And he was going off to the Olympics, so he wasn't going to be fully in his camp for some of his fights. So he's made the right choice changing trainers. He just made the wrong choice initially, but I'm hoping he's made the right choice now.
So Nilo Connors put a comment to Joe. Yeah, Joe, I think he got too many people involved and Rob couldn't have full control anymore. I like that comment. I kind of agree with it as well, because it looked to me in the last couple of fights he had with McCracken, he wasn't listening in the corner. And if he wasn't listening in the corner, the chances are he wasn't listening in camp. And maybe that's where things kind of fell apart with him and McCracken. McCracken's one of them coaches that is very loyal and he likes a fighter to be the same. And I think you might be right, Niall. There was a lot of distractions in Joshua's camps and cameras there all the time. Kind of fanboys as well in a way. Joe has gone on to say, no, Lee, you can't say you're learning on the job once you've become world champion. I can't have that as an excuse.
I'm not saying it as an excuse. I'm saying it as in what he was doing. He was changing his style as he was progressing up so he was learning on the job. He wasn't a skillful boxer before, was he? He didn't know how to do that, and he was trying to do that in the ring against one of the pound for pound greats in Usyk. It was a massive mistake, but he was trying and attempting to do that whilst learning on the job. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do as a heavyweight champion. It was completely not. But there's no arguing that he tried to change his style up and match him, and that's all. What other definition is there for it?
He did try to box him, didn't he?
Mm.
He wanted to prove he was as good as Usyk,
which that was the only thing that could have led to him losing that fight, and he brought himself down to that level. If he'd used everything else, absolutely fine, but he tried to stand toe to toe with him and box him. And
if he'd have big manned him, there'd have been a different result, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to. I'm a massive Usyk fan, mate. A massive Usyk fan, but size. That old saying, "A big good 'un beats a big little 'un," is right. When the big good 'un uses his attributes, and that's what you'll see in the Fury fight. I think.
He's too big.
Even though I'm a huge Usyk fan, I think pound for pound and skill, I think he's a better fighter than Fury. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think on pure skill and ring IQ, I think he's a better fighter. But he won't beat him just because of size. Joe's gone on to add. He added Joe Clayton and Angel Fernandez to Rob's training team. That's where he went wrong. Would you agree with that, Sean? Too many voices?
Yeah, well, I think almost that AJ sort of saw it as doing favours for his mates by bringing them in when ultimately they wasn't needed, and I guess that they do attractive from the bigger picture. And in terms of going to the States, I think this is brilliant for him. It's a big reset, and hopefully we see a different AJ come April.
I'm assuming we're expecting that AJ is going to spend all of his training and all of his training time away in the States, away from the glare of the spotlight of the UK, because let's have it right, AJ's not a big name in America. He's not well known in America. So he can probably get away with walking down the street unnoticed. He's maybe going a step too far, but there's definitely a chance that he's going to be able to relax a bit more and not be under the pressure. Carl, is this going to help him in the long run?
I honestly don't know, is my honest answer, because I'm not sure any trainer can give AJ back what he needs. So I really think this is him just I was going to say it wasn't very family friendly then, but doing something in the wind just as a new idea. He is what he is for me. I'm not sure he can learn a different way to box.
You don't think he can get that self belief and pure aggression back that he had in the early part of his career?
Not by fighting these Australians that he's rumoured to be fighting and etc. Because ultimately, when he gets back up to that top level, he's still the same fighter. So, yeah, I'm not sure where he goes. I think he fights this Australian, then he'll fight Dylan White for me in the summer stadium fight at Wembley. And then he's probably got one more fight, and I think he's probably about done. Because I'm not sure where you take him, because once he gets to that elite level, he's going to get beat.
Right, I've got to jump off, lads. I'll catch you later on. Take care.
Cheers, Lee.
Thanks for joining, Lee.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care, mate.
Well, Eddie Hearn basically said that the plan for him is to fight maybe a Woodin or someone like that in April, Dylan White, and then they're going to look to position him for a world title at the end of the year if they come available. Now, I think with AJ, it's absolutely mental rather than anything else with him. I think if he's got it in his mind that he's a killer like he used to be, and he goes back to how he used to be rather than have a clouded mind, which I think he's had the last 18 months or so, I believe certainly he can be the second best, maybe even the best heavyweight in the world again.
So, comment in the sidebar from Joe. Joshua got sucked into Fury saying he couldn't box. He's just robotic, which suggests he's weak-minded. A bit harsh, I know. Do you think Joshua allowed Fury to get in his head, Carl?
Yeah.
Do you think so that first Usyk fight, do you think that was Joshua trying to prove to someone like Fury that, well, actually I can box and I can box against the best?
Don't know, I'm not around his camp, but what I'd like to see of Joshua, I'd like to see the nasty Joshua back.
Yeah.
Not almost cuddling Usyk in the press conferences like he was doing, and whatever. I'd like to see that spiteful Joshua back. He should have let Usyk know in that rematch, you're in for a fight here. I'm not here to have selfies with you, and etc. etc. As that mind's gone, that the old saying, I won't quote it fully, but getting up and running in silk pajamas comes to mind. The guy's made a lot of money. Is the hunger there and the desire? Only he'll know that. So
maybe the switch to the States will trigger that again, because he's out of his comfort zone of his home comforts and his surroundings. I'm guessing he'll have a couple of people with him, but I don't think he'll have the big entourage that he would normally have over here.
Yeah, when it boils down to it, though, it's still the same fighter, isn't it?
The question for me is, can he lose that? I mean, I don't want to suggest anything, because I've never met Joshua. I've never spoke to him. I can only go on what I see in the ring, and to me, he was scared to pull the trigger because he was worried of what was coming back. So for him to get back to that spiteful Joshua, who puts it on people and don't let up, he's got to lose that fear factor, hasn't he? So can this new trainer, can he take that away from him? Can he lose that fear factor and not necessarily not worry about what's coming back? Because you've still got I said a bit ago, Carl, when you was off screen, I want to see a trainer that's going to make him aggressive again, but in the same breath, he needs to be a trainer that can teach Joshua how to take a shot and how to defend when he does get hurt, because I don't believe he does, and I don't think he does it very well. I guess we're going to have to watch this space, aren't we? You know, I'm sure
not
it'll
sure.
all
I'm
unfold.
not sure. At this stage of his career, you can learn someone how to ride a shot. You know, I just don't believe. I think he's dropped a massive mistake by not being with Rob McCray anymore. You might never have that, but I think he made a big mistake. I think Rob was a good nucleus of a very good training team. I know we've said in the past that maybe Rob's not the most defensive of coaches, going by Carl Froch and Anthony Joshua, but you can bring a defensive coach in to supplement that area, can't you? Rob McCracken, what he got for is his knowledge of boxing.
Yeah.
So, is there any benefit in him going to America? We don't know. Time will tell, won't it? You know, time will tell.
Okay, swiftly moving on to something that's quite interesting. It was announced. I don't even think it's been publicly announced by Golden Boy, but there was rumours, and then I think it's been made pretty much official that Golden Boy's chief matchmaker Roberto Diaz has parted company with Golden Boy with immediate effect. Now, what that means, God only knows. There's been no statement from Golden Boy or from Roberto to say, you know, it's good terms, it's bad terms. We just didn't agree, or my contract ran out and we decided to just go different ways. Interesting thing here, Carl, is I think Roberto Diaz is the best at what he does in the world, and I don't think it'll be very long if he hasn't already got a contract with somebody else. I don't think it'll be very long before he gets snapped up. So firstly, if you was one of the big players, would you take Roberto Diaz into your team? And if so, which of the big players do you think he goes to?
Well, it's a silly question, really, isn't it? Because obviously you would. So any promotional outfit who have got footprint, you can say anywhere in the world, but especially West Coast and especially Mexico, would benefit a great deal by having Roberto Diaz on board. Now, I know me and Andy had a conversation earlier, but I think DAZN, well, Matchroom USA, if you will, would benefit greatly from Roberto Diaz. A, because he's not quite gone as well as I thought he would do in the States.
Yeah.
It would give Matchroom USA, they have got credibility, but even more credibility in the USA market. And it would also allow Eddie Hearn to further explore that Mexican market. And Roberto's worked with Canelo before as well, just to put a cherry on the cake. So I think Matchroom USA should be beating his door down. But then again, any of them, top ranked, why not? Or does Roberto Diaz either retire because he's had a good run in the sport, or does he go alone, get some backers from the Middle East, let's say, and Roberto could quite easily front a promotional company. So I think you'll have a lot of options, but I think the world's his oyster, to be honest with you. I think you know, I think you'll have a lot of offers on the table.
He's 30-40 years in the business, speaks for itself, don't it?
Yeah.
He's made some amazing fights over the years. Just before I come to you, Sean, comment from Joe. Golden Boy are on their last fishnet stocking legs. Oscar's on his way out.
Well, it's a very strange decision.
Yeah, it is a very strange decision. I mean, this is a man with unbelievable knowledge of the Mexican market and fighting.
And loyalty, I might add. A lot of loyalty to Golden Boy.
Yeah. Well, he's not going anywhere else, has he? I'm sure over the years, other people have probably tried to poach him. Sean, we had a bit of a chat about this off air before we came live. Do you want to share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, very much what Carl said, really. I think he's suited to Matchroom and DAZN purely for the reasons that's already been said. But I think on the bigger picture as well, it's a massive loss to Golden Boy because he was sort of the linchpin between him and the Golden Boy making fights with everybody else. I mean, I don't think Oscar's got a relationship with anyone, really. I mean, he's put his two pens everywhere. So I think, yes, it's an advantage for Matchroom, but Golden Boy, they've really got not a good leg to stand on now, losing him.
I don't know whether Golden Boy have they've had this DAZN deal come on. Are they just sitting on the laurels a little bit here and thinking they don't need to be working hard at matchmaking now because they've got this massive deal? Do they think they don't need the likes of Roberto Diaz in their camp anymore? I'd be very surprised if that's the case. But
if anything, they need him more.
Yeah, I agree, Cole. But I mean, Oscar De La Hoya, and I don't think I'm being disrespectful in saying this. He's a bit of a loose cannon at times. You know, some of the things he comes out with on social media makes you wonder. Amazing fighter, but I just don't think he's made for the position that he's got in that company. I find it staggering, but we don't know, lads. We don't know any of the ins and outs. No one's come out and said anything. It might be a mutual thing. It might be that Roberto's just decided he's had enough of doing the day-to-day thing and wants a bit of a break and may stay away from boxing altogether for a while. You just don't know.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding, won't it? The proof will be if he reappears somewhere or he starts a venture quickly, then, you know, it'll be interesting to see what... It'll all come out eventually, I think.
Interesting comment from Joe. He's put, I wonder if Canelo's going to set up promoting. He's obviously had dealings with Roberto Diaz in the past through Golden Boy, so they'll know each other and he'll know what Roberto brings to the table.
Well, Canelo's already got a promotional. I know he doesn't do a lot with, he put some shows on in Mexico already, so he'll be a great addition.
Absolutely, and that would, I mean, with the Canelo name brand behind a promotion, DAZN will jump all over that, won't they?
Yeah.
Okay, swiftly moving on to what is our last topic of the night, and this one's from Sean. So Sean, take it away, mate.
Yeah, it was just in regards to Conor Benn, really. I don't know if anyone's seen, but he's quietly gone off to Australia. He's training over there, and there's strong talk that he's going to be making a comeback around March or April in Australia. Gone under the radar. I just wonder what everyone thought on that.
Carl, I'll let you.
Yeah, so I'm a bit perplexed by all this because Eddie is coming out and saying he's free to fight wherever he wants to around the world. However, he wants to prove innocence so he can come back under the British Boxing Board of control, which I personally think is the right way to go. Because if he doesn't clear this up and he goes fighting in Australia and America, although he hasn't really got a name in America, is what we're being told by reliable sources.
No.
This cloud will not remove from above Conor's head. It will not. So, and also in terms of persons in Australia, who's in Australia for him to fight? So, yeah, obviously he's back his license to the British Boxing Board of Control, but I think he spent a lot of money sending a 260-odd page document to the British Boxing Board of Control to clear his name. So why do that and then go, in fact, forget it, I'm going to go off to Australia. So I think it's detrimental to his if he does so.
Could this be a bluff situation? Do you think he could be trying to call the bluff of the British Boxing Board here? Sean?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, I guess in Conor Benn's eyes, he's a big star, so it'd be a loss to the board. But it's just a bit, it just doesn't sit very well, I don't think.
I think it's interesting that statements like this are coming out, whether they've been made by Conor Benn or not, and whether it's just rumours, they're still coming out. Conor Benn's released things saying he never wants to work under the British Boxing Board of Control again. He'll never fight under their banner again. I mean, that's a big statement to make. He was obviously that was it right in the middle of it all, and he was very still heated, and he probably regrets saying that now. And he probably thinks, maybe he wishes he could take that back a little bit. Because let's have it right, and you bang on, Carl, that his money fights are in the UK. The people that are going to buy his pay-per-views, because let's have it right, that's where DAZN will put him again, are in the UK. He isn't going to sell pay-per-view tickets in the States or in Australia. It's not going to happen.
I'm not sure DAZN wants him on the platform, wherever this is standing. Not in Australia, definitely.
I don't know, mate. I mean, you've not heard anything from DAZN, have you? No one's come out from DAZN and made any sort of a comment.
Well, they've got no responsibility, have they? I mean, to be fair, Eddie Hearn didn't really have no responsibility. It's for Conor Ben to clear this mess up.
Yeah. And are we any closer? Has anyone heard anything? Are we any closer to getting any sort of a decision?
No, Robert Smith come out and said we'd have it by the end of the year, but we're now on, obviously, moving towards mid-January. Nothing.
Very strange. I don't know whether
I've got to wait in to get excited for tomorrow, so I better bring this to a wrap so I can get beauty sleep.
I'm sure you're looking forward to it, mate.
Living my best life.
Living the dream, mate. Living the dream. So, thanks to everyone in the sidebar. Lots and lots of comments tonight. Sean, pleasure as always. Carl, get your head down, mate. Enjoy your show tomorrow. And I'll see you over the weekend. This has been Last Bell Boxing. We'll see you all next Thursday.